everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cocky.
He is Captain Foley.
And today we're here to talk about the Enterprise D. It's in Picard, don't you know? And we're going to compare it.
Did we do this last week?
I'm getting some deja vu vibes for sure.
Deja Q?
Deja Q vibes. There you go. Wow.
Yes. This is different though, guys. Believe us, because... So there was a ship model in episode 9. Then this thing came across our screens. It's better. It's confusing because we saw it in the trailer, the teaser, the scene. Did you think we were going to get a better version of the ship just 7 days later?
I didn't. I don't know. It feels to me like they use 3 different versions. One for like when it's unpowered, they power off. One when they launch it, and then this one. But no, it was great to see. We saw in the preview that it was going to be different. The windows and everything kind of looked better. So yeah, I was looking forward to talking about it.
Just because we can get better res screen caps from the full final. But we're also going to compare this. This, of course, is more about the Canon comparisons with the ILM Generations Enterprise D model and the Enterprise Canon End of Season. These are the Voyager's Enterprise D. Later date, we'll compare the... Because those designs do not have the extra mega detail this one does. But we'll compare the extra mega details to the other mega detail models out there that are sort of semi-canon or fan. Kind of see how far they went really compared to what else is out there. Plus the general perspective of this design. So this will be split into 2 because, of course, this is the hero ship of Star Trek in essence, the Enterprise D. But there you go, Stuart. It warped in. And I assume you didn't know exactly the close-up is going to happen in a second. How does this look to you for the Enterprise D?
It looks great. This feels exactly like it should. Like we saw, like kind of like the pan out in the All Good Things at the end. They kind of go. It feels kind of like that to me. And yeah, it looks fantastic. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, it definitely reads as far more complete. And as someone who does a lot of CG, one of the secrets to better looking CG is having stuff inside the windows. Now, the funny thing about that is that it's so small you barely see it, but even though you can barely see some of it, your brain notices they're not all flat white. That single thing gives all this depth. Yes, some windows now are less readable, but some are now more readable, but it gives us life that just was entirely missing on the previous version. And then if you start looking, you're like, oh wow, I can see things. And then it gets even more impressive. The only other thing I'll say, or 2 things I'll say, in fact, there are lens flares for no reason, which shouldn't be there. Like, they look silly. And the facades are not 3 giant red glowing bulbs. They're
2.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that is not how it looks, and we'll show later. Like, that's not remotely the vibe. And like I say, lens flare, which again is wrong. It's just a filter they put on. I don't know why they thought we should JJ it up. There's a shot later on which is terrible for lens flares. And also the side of the neck looks oddly like flat and CG. The way it's been, the angle, like it's a hard angle to like because it's from the side, but looks very like textured. It doesn't look real to me. Like a miniature would look a lot nicer. This looks very CGI. It just looks like a very complete CGI.
I'm going to address the bizarre thing because this is the Syracuse Star Drive section. So who knows what kind of upgrades were made? So it could be different.
Because I'm sure that's what the CG team said. We're going to change the facades so it's a Syracuse. So I'm sure that's what they thought themselves. I know what you mean, Stuart. All this stuff can be caveated away, of course, but we're here to compare to what they were trying to create, which was Galaxy Class Enterprise D. But the next shot, as we start to get in, the model gets a bit gorgeous, and here's to highlight the fact that, yes, there is full interiors on the majority of the rooms on the front of the saucer, all the ones that your eye reads as it goes by camera, which is very clever of them to add. Plus, as it goes past, the entire bridge module has windows, and damn.
Yeah, it does look... I love that flyby and just seeing the stuff inside. You're right, your eye catches it. You notice it. Even if you don't notice it, subconsciously you notice it. And that briefing room and stuff, like you can see that is glorious. It looks really good. So
this sort of the A-star depth that we haven't really had in Discovery. They don't, this is effort, right? Because even if you can clone rooms, you're still going to match them to the windows. You're still going to match them around the saucer. Imagine doing 400 rooms. It's a time-consuming thing. You can't just speed it up. So that's the extra effort that was gone in, and it adds so much detail, and it actually makes it the most detailed Canon model ever. And is that meant to be 10 forward at the front? I can't necessarily read detail. I guess it's meant. It has to be. It's the front.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the custom windows with the large middle ones. Okay.
Well, the 10 forwards on the bottom. Technically, Picard's quarters should be right above 10 forward on the top leading edge. So, but I don't know.
And it's another very subtle thing, but in the ILM model, they actually made the bridge dome, the actual dome itself, the top thing, because it's actually a dome with a window. They made it translucent, and there's a very light texture map of the bridge inside. This version, they didn't do that. So, tiny thing, but you are meant to be able to see through that. Tiny thing. Next shot, though, as it passes, the detail level does diminish drastically. I mean, all windows suddenly become, you can tell they are textures inside of the window frame, which are multicolored. Still better than white, good, but you can tell instantly the detail is not continued. It's only the bit that's needed, and then it pulls back.
Well, I was still impressed with it because it does look and feel like there's something inside there, like a room inside. Mm-hmm. So it's a good trick to the eye. So
it's the mid trick, and of course the phaser strips are worth something now, because in the other version
phaser strips.
They were not visible, they weren't detailed. These are correct.
Absolutely. And I want to point out too, this was brought up in my first reaction live. Everybody was complaining that when the Enterprise was like ducking and diving through the board cube, that not all the impulse engines were lit up. The ones on the saucer weren't. And I'm like, well, when the star drive section's attached to the saucer one shouldn't be lit up. So they got that right, but people all think they got it wrong because they think they should all be lit up, and they shouldn't be.
I mean, it could have been a nice moment of a Canon Easter egg, like turn on the saucer impulse engines
for more maneuverability.
Yeah,
like,
or just
firing them. Yeah,
or maybe as they're leaving the ball cube at the end, like all full power. Fine, like that's good, but they're not meant to be on. And in fact, that's a testament. If it's a wrong CG model, if they're on, they are never on.
Yeah, I tried saying that to people, but they wouldn't believe me last night. So
they're not trusting Trekyards, eh?
Nope, they're not. But no, they're not trusting Captain Foley.
Oh,
they might trust Trekyards as a team.
Okay, that makes no sense. The only thing I'll say about this, I'll say two things because we're Trekyards. Someone noted that there's a random window broken detail on the left pylon, which is sort of just a thing. I don't know what that is.
Jordy did say he's having problems with the port and the cell or whatever. So it could just be a missing plate, a missing detail. Yeah, because it's in the next shot. You see it all the time on that left pylon.
The only thing that I see about this model that I just dislike in general is that the painted lines are so bold. My goodness. I mean, that neck section, like all of it looks like they've physically painted on the hull, and it's meant to be so much more subtle. And the nacelle looks so, it looks like Chakotay's, facial markings is how bold it is on the skin, right? It's so over the top that it looks like a CG model that's been painted with textures. It's not meant, and we're going to do comparisons. It's not meant to be that bold, and it's just 30-40% too bold in my eyes, in my opinion.
I really like it though.
It makes it pop. In fairness,
yeah, I think it looks good. So
okay. Oh, that's just personal preference.
But going to the next one, we do see some, and there you can see some missing plating on the right nacelle, on the starboard nacelle, and the port nacelle, and also the strut. So there is missing plating and stuff because it is under repair. And also, one thing I did notice on my third watch through of it, there are elements that are glowing that shouldn't be, like on the top one there, the top of the strut where it attaches to the nacelle. There's a little indentation in the strut that is actually glowing white and is lit up in this one. And there's a few other shots later where it's like there's things that are glowing that shouldn't be, but it still looks fantastic. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and the bottom shot's definitely, it's meant to be that Star Trek 6
I can't remember
shot.
what scene that was.
It's very kind of like the Amagosa.
Yeah, they are flashing. I tried to make sure I
harsh line.
put them on.
The only thing I'll say about that is, again, lens flare. It just diminishes the shot. To me, it just looks like a fan's CG rendering. The cleanness is part of the fun. The top version's fine. And I can appreciate... Right, let's go on to the comparison, Stuart. The next shot is back to the start. And of course, as we said at the start, this is... Top one is Star Trek Picard, the brand new model, clearly enhanced model. The middle one is the ILM model based on the 6-foot miniature built for generations. It was then taken by both Deep Space Nine and Voyager to be used for their Galaxy class. It's the most canon one. It's also the one on all the calendars up until Enterprise. It went for a much more sort of clean, flat look, and it's been well regarded for years as being a shockingly good model, considering it was made in like 1998, right? It's just ILM do a good job. Bottom one being Gabriel Kerner's version for the final shots of Enterprise, far more detailed, but he also had a rushed production time, etc., and 10 years more of modelling power to put in. Both are canon, and as with all these things, there's no right answer, but here's a comparison. Thoughts?
Well, the ILM one matches the Picard one a little bit cleaner, I think, better. Gabe's has a squatter secondary hull and whatnot. Here you do see the difference in the glows of the Bizarre collectors, which stands out quite so drastically. Either way is fine with me. I kind of like the three glows, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you can see subtle differences. No, I think it's very, very, very close. Looks really good. All of them.
Yeah, all three Canon models are very close. It's interesting how different the deflector is in all three.
Yeah.
They're actually very different. Is Gabe's really that much smaller? Because it looks like he may have made it significantly less big than it should be. But the middle one looks too big. Because you can trust the ILM is going to get slightly more right, because that had to literally match up with the movie real 6 foot. So they had to make it.
And they had actually had the 6 foot to base things on, yeah.
Well, and not just that, but they throughout the film they also had to match Enterprise B with the real miniature. That was their trick, and most of the shots you can't tell. So I would trust them to be a bit more accurate. So we noted the deflector has slightly more of a point in the middle for some reason. Versus the Picard one, it's just a rectangle. It hasn't got exact character. It's small. There's a bit more blue being showable on the ILM one, but it's much closer to the Gabe one. But you can see that what I mean about the color variation, because the ILM one is just a texture with the windows that are on is a white part on that texture. Gabe's one actually does have colors in the windows to give variation, so that's why it has a bit more flexibility. But then you push that even forward with the actual really deep certainly comes across.
I think the Picard team did a fantastic job, honestly. It just shines in in all the scenes, honestly. But
I'd probably retexture it a little bit to make it more close to the 6 foot, because it's not trying to be. It's trying to be its own thing, clearly, with the boldness of the textures. But I think geometry-wise, it's pretty darn close. One thing, again, to note is the neck, which in the olden days, to create that smooth transition line is just polygons that you don't necessarily have. Plus, it's such a small part of the screen. So the ILM one, it's quite hard-edged, and then connection point is okay. Gabe's one, it just connects directly into the secondary hull. There's no organic curve at all. It's very hard-edged. And the Picard one, everything's beautifully curved and polygoned and lovely. That's crystal clean, smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's lovely.
Mm-hmm. Nice lines on it.
Very, very nice. The next shot, though, is that reverse angle. And, yeah, the text string, Stuart, the text string. Real bold.
Yeah, I see what you play, but as I said in the other video, the other comparison one, it's very reminiscent of Star Trek Online ships. And we know that there are some Star Trek Online ships in this show, so I don't know if they're going for that kind of look with the more detailed plating, but I like it, honestly, but I see why, it's standing out to you for sure.
Yeah, but obviously the logic being then Geordie's choosing to repaint it to look like a newer model, which would be the opposite of what he's intending to do. Because this is a deliberate choice, right? The subtlety is part of the fun. Because I mean, you almost can't read detail on the pylons here. It looks like paint. That's the thing. These aren't real plates. They're meant to be very subtle. If the bolder you make them, the more fake they look. But the other two.
Syracuse. He hasn't got a chance to repaint it to the Enterprise yet, 'cause it still says Syracuse on the side. So there you go. And here there's just the main impulse engine glowing as it should be when the saucer is connected. So I want to point that out as well.
Oh, and interesting. I don't know if this is real or not, but because again we're doing this as CG comparison, we'll do miniature and high detail later. There's also comparing this, obviously, in this episode. The two shuttle bay doors, the side ones, both the ILM and the Gabe one are far more hard edged, whereas the new one, that secondary, the bigger one, is really nice curved angles. I don't know what's meant to be the real one, but now I'm seeing it. That ILM was just a rectangle, right? Very, very simple.
Yeah, they are quite different. Oh, we noticed too that the roll door on the Picard one and other scenes as well is very. It's not as curved as it should be. It feels to go more straight.
Yeah, because you can see on the top view it ends much further out in the hole. I do think though the curved shuttle bay door is the more correct one. I think that's more clear. Yeah, which looks great. I love it not being it's subtle, but I love it. Also, is there a blinky on the bottom of the spine, right in the torpedo launcher? I don't remember because there isn't on the other two.
There is. I believe there is. Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
I believe there's always been
subtlety. But it is, three flavors of the same thing, which is lovely to say, right? Lovely to experience.
And honestly, nobody would ever be comparing all three side by side like this, so nobody's really going to notice these kind of things.
But Stuart, Trekyards existed for many years now. They know us. We've heard from several people in the VFX team thinking what we're going to say. But if anything, Stuart, they'll be able to look at this and say, wow, we got real close. Because they can't make comparison renders, but we can. And close is really good, right? Close is very, very good. And certainly better than the one from Season 1. We made even more mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another small note is the spine, the top bit. You can see how simple it is on both the CG versions. In fact, the ILM is obnoxiously simple. I really like the lovely curved version of the new one. That's lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the new one looks fantastic. It really does. Considering we haven't seen the ship really in that much detail lately, I think it's really great.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if we go back to the first picture, I mean, it came in, it shone, it did some good stuff, and we're going to compare it at a different point to the miniature, to which we're going to find a lot more careful angles, and of course the fan versions, because Tobias Richter made one for the Enterprise, it made a D for the remaster version TNG, which is almost unnoticeably not the real miniature. So we're going to pair that as well, because he did put interiors in, so we'll see how the fan good can get as well. But yeah, very impressed. I think this is a beautiful model. I hope we see it again. And to note, they did swap back to the last version at the museum shots because, of course, that was that team who did the shots. So
yeah.
Oops.
And I got to point out too that weaving in and out of the board cube, there's a lot of good shots from the top and stuff, which we should probably take a look at. And when it zooms overhead, there's some details there that I want to talk about in another video. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, click the notification bell icon so you don't miss any other videos we do comparing this ship. And just looking at the details, because we love our ships, we want to talk about it, and hopefully you guys do as well. So please join us for any of those lives or anything that we do. We want to hear from you guys, so comment down below as well.
And while you're there, straight on those lives, you could support us directly via super chatting on. Well, you pick your moments, Stuart. You sit. And then we're like, and thingy, it says, oh my god, I didn't notice that before. And then we look through the episode reference, like, oh my god, you've broken the code, the Matrix is open, oh my god, you are the one, the only, the Enterprise D master. Or you just say, hey guys. Either one, or super thanks on this video. It's like a super chat, but not. Does the same thing, just on a video. Or monthly Patreon, or join the channel on YouTube. Well, we do all this content free for you guys every single month, often every single week, always every single week. Sometimes every single day. So if you enjoy what we do here, support us in as many ways. And we thank you in advance. And well done, Picard. Bring back the Enterprise D more. You've got the models now. There's no excuse.
And check out our fleet video at the end, where we have our own models that are gloriously flying by. And some of you people are serving on them. So take a look for your name. So until next time, U.S. Commander Cocky.
He's got a phone. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.